into another conversation that will warm your heart, spark your thinking, and ignite your professional practice. We're talking today about virtual whiteboards, and there's a lot to talk about. We're also going to be doing a lot of screen sharing and demonstrating. And so I'm so excited to be joined by 5 fabulous and passionate educators. I'm going to ask them to quickly introduce themselves, starting with Kate.
Hey, good day to everybody. Kate Stevens here. I am out in Colorado. I'm an English teacher and instructional coach, and glad to be here today. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us, Kate. Lise. Oh, and Lise, I'm just trying to unmute you here.
Yep, that's
there we
me.
go.
I'm sorry. So I am over on the other side of the planet in the UAE, Abu Dhabi, and I'm a visual arts teacher in an international baccalaureate school.
So good to have you, and really amazing that I forgot to mention we are coming from 4 different countries and 3 continents this morning, so that is super exciting. Mel, over to you.
Hi guys, so I'm Mel or Melissa. I am in Cali, Colombia, and I'm Australian, but I'm teaching down here mathematics at an international school, grade 9 and 12. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you. Jeffrey.
Yeah, my name's Jeffrey E. Frieden, and I've been teaching English language arts at the high school level for 16 years now, primarily at this point in my career, mostly 10th and 12th grade.
Okay, and Tim.
Hey, everybody. Tim Balmont. I am a high school English teacher and a technology specialist from New Jersey, and I've been teaching English for 8 years, and it's mostly 9th graders, so very happy to be here today.
All right, we've got a good range of not only the locations, but grade levels as well. And I look forward to hearing more about your practice. So we've got 4 tools primarily that we want to talk about today. They are Padlet, Google Jamboard, Whiteboard.fi, and Whiteboard.chat. Or do we call it Whiteboard.chat, Mel? We'll have to talk about that.
Yeah, Whiteboard.chat, but anything goes.
So I thought we would start with the free tool of the bunch. There's no premium feature, and that is Google Jamboard. So Jeffrey, take it away. Show us how you use Google Jamboard in your practice.
Sure. Yeah, let me get the screen share going here. Make sure I get it just right. Let me know if I got it. Is the Jamboard there?
It is there.
There it is. Okay, and if you all have the link, you are free to jump in there. That is the panelists. If you're a participant, you can jump on it later. But so I don't do a lot of there are people that do really fancy stuff with Jamboards out there. And I don't use Jamboard because it's fancy. I use it because it's functional for what I want it to do. So what I am going to demonstrate for you today is what I give my students when it comes to getting into breakout rooms. So I worked really hard this year to try and simulate my classroom. If you were to come in, you would see whiteboards everywhere. In my classroom, if we were in person, you'd see students sitting at tables and they'd be collaborating in tables. And I wanted that table collaboration feel while we were remote. And I found that Jamboard was the way to do that. So, and my goal when it comes to Jamboards is to get students unmuting as fast as possible and to start interacting. So right here, I mean, let's pretend we are all in, I'm going to be the teacher here. You're going to be the students. We are all in a breakout room together. Go ahead right now and just kind of follow the prompt. So on this frame, decide as a group which person will use each color and then move to the next frame.
I'll grab yellow.
I'm taking pink.
Well, I don't even know what's left. Maybe the last one.
I think we have a green and we have the black and white.
And that delayed student who isn't in yet still.
That's okay. It'll still be there. Okay, and then as soon as you're done with this, you can move on to the next frame. It'd be good if we could all be there together. But we're going to wait for Elise to join us, or I'll just kind of jump onto the next frame. So I like to start with a nice little icebreaker. And actually today I'm going to give you 3 different icebreakers to start with. So go ahead and claim your sticky. And this is actually brought to you by my students. They asked this question. They're like, hey, can we do this for this or that? Because I tend to start class with that. And they said cheesecake. Is it cake or pie?
I saw this on Twitter yesterday. Was this you or someone else?
This is me. I put this on Twitter yesterday. Just I've been putting some this or that's up there that people have been enjoying. So
I'm
I think the
gonna
other day
put
was like,
my
where do you?
name in the middle.
The Tims.
That's yeah. There you go.
Team cake.
It's cake. And Mel hasn't decided yet.
I can't. I mean, like I think it is cake, but I mean, like it's just so solid as well, which looks like a bit like that pie thing. My pie is meat pie. This pie is a different type of pie. This must be American Canadian style. I don't know.
Perhaps.
And you know what? We've got to have the difficult students in these demos too, right, Jeffrey?
Yes, that's right. So, Kate, why did you choose pie?
So originally I didn't read the instructions closely because I'm that kid. And I was like, oh, cake is way better than pie. And then the teacher was giving me instructions and I was like, oh, I need to choose like if it is one or the other. So then I had to use my critical thinking. And I got to go pie because there's no, usually on pie, there's no like buttercream frosting. There's no flour in cheesecake. And so a lot of pies are filling. So that's for me and my rationale to just kind of kick that off. I could keep going, but I'll be quiet. I just love food.
Okay. Well, you know what? My students would agree with you. The majority of them did. And the main thing was crust. Cheesecake has crust. Cake does not have crust. All right. So just for the sake of time, we'll go ahead and move on to the next board. It's another icebreaker type activity. This one's more for the teacher and all of us right here. So let's vote one off the island. If you had to choose one to vote off the island, which one would you choose? And this is a shared decision for everybody in the group too. So is it letter grades, textbooks, standardized tests, or faculty meetings?
Oh. So I've been running a gradeless classroom for about 5 years now. And so, I mean, I saw standardized tests and I was like, get rid of that immediately. But then I saw letter grades. So it's between those two for me.
While you are all deciding who to vote or what to vote off the island, I want to say hi to Mandeep on LinkedIn, Shannon Moore on YouTube, Mark Ryan on Twitter, David in LinkedIn, Brian on YouTube. Great to have all of you here. Staff Podcast on Twitter. Lots of interest in Google Jamboard. And Jeffrey, your icebreaker activities are a hit so far, so keep it going.
All right. So what is the group thinking right now? So I see standardized tests. I see letter grades. That would be my vote too.
So, I mean, I'm sort of being dissenting here, but I said standardized tests just because it's sort of letter grades, but brought to a whole different level. So that's why I chose that.
Okay. And I'm trying to remember who our blue. So,
Yeah,
Mr. Cavey.
Yeah.
Mr. Cavey voting for here? Because this has to be a group decision. So let's do this like 10 seconds left because I want us to move on here.
Yeah.
Does this have to be unanimous or is it just whatever gets the most votes?
I would let the group decide that. That's a good question, though.
I say letter grades because they're just fixed in time and don't really feed forward. Standardized tests can at least inform teaching, whereas letter grades are just done and forgotten and not really valuable for feeding forward.
Nice. I'm going to switch my vote to letter grades. Thanks, Lise.
I'm there too.
All right, who will do the honors and drag that picture over to vote it off the island right there?
Yeah, I've got it.
There we go. And you've been voted off the island, letter grades. Okay, we're going to move on here. Now, this is kind of like a dated question, but I just thought it would be kind of interesting. So the other one was about subtracting. This one's about just choosing from an option here. So which Avenger are you? Pin your dot. So for the color you selected earlier, pin your dot to the Avenger and then share one reason why with the group and type it into the text box on the right.
I guess I have to choose a bald Avenger here.
So you got Drax over there.
This guy?
Yeah.
I mean, could you pick Thanos? He's bald.
Oh yeah, and Vision too doesn't have any hair. So yeah, there's some.
I'm really bad at making decisions. I'm terrible at this. There's too many people there. How do you decide like who you put your thing on? I mean,
I know. I thought about picking a smaller list, and I probably should have.
Now, my family would give me a lot of grief on this, but I could not name half the people on this board. I'm not a superheroes person at all. So
And all the comments you're making right now are going to be perfect for our culminating activity later, if we have time for it.
All right.
This
Jeffrey, while we're selecting,
Mhm.
talk about how we could use this in the classroom too. Like, are we still on icebreakers, or do we have some?
Well, right
learning
now we're
activities?
just kind of I'm showing some icebreakers. The point that I like to have here is if you make an academic task the first thing that they're doing in a breakout room and on a Jamboard, that I find shuts conversation down. But if you make it something that's non-academic to start, to just kind of open up the group, they can learn something about each other, or they can kind of share in some decision making, like especially when you first started off with the colors and picking a color. That gets students to unmute faster. And that's going to be my goal when it comes to just when they enter the breakout room, because the faster they can unmute, the more talking that's going to happen throughout the course of the breakout room. All right. For the sake of time, just move on to the next one. So this would be, we're on the fifth frame here. So this is just an annotation. And this is actually from a blog post, the only blog post that I have on my website at the moment. And it's about what I just shared. The speed of unmuting determines depth of collaboration. So using the color you selected earlier, go ahead and mark up the text. And so this would require some reading. And again, for the sake of time, I think if you want to just throw some marks on there just for the sake of the show, some pyrotechnics if you want to. But then just having people, yeah, there we go. Okay. Anything you want to mark up? Perfect. Yeah. There it is. And then I just had them like on a scale from 1 to 10 on the bottom part down here is how important do you think it is to get breakout room participants to unmute as quickly as possible? Mark with your color. And I was assuming like 1 meaning like not that important, or 10 being important. There we go. Awesome. Then finally, it would just be on the last one. Scenario is your group has been chosen to select the breakout room icebreaker that gets participants unmuting at lightning speed. Use the advice from the group. Annotated text frame 5. So you can just kind of see like select which one's your number one. This would be another group sharing activity. And the basic principles here, I'm sorry, I'm just going to zoom ahead because we have some other great stuff ahead of us. So design for fastest possible unmuting, shared micro decisions, like which color are we going to select for our annotations. Start with fun, level up to the academic over time. And
nice.
That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Frieden. Really appreciated that. That was really cool. I like probably my favorite one was that one where everyone's annotating in their own color. I can really see some great uses for that. We want to motor right along here over to Tim, who will show us how he's using Jamboard. Tim, over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. And Jeff, such an awesome presentation. It really illustrates some of the unique features of Jamboard, and using them in breakout rooms, I think it's awesome. So thank you so much for sharing all of that. And for me, I'm going to be sort of zeroing in on some specific features of Jamboard that I've used in my classes. So I just shared one of my windows, Tim. I'm not sure if you...
Oh, yeah, sorry. I'm looking at all the comments. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, it's all good. So right now in my classes, we are reading John Steinbeck's Of Mice and Men. And I will say up front that in my classroom, I use Jamboard, but I also use Padlet quite a lot. And a lot of times I'm making decisions between, does this activity work better for something like Jamboard, or is it better for Padlet? And in my experience, Jamboard allows a little bit more flexibility with students placing objects where they want. A little more spatial type based activities tend to work pretty well with Google Jamboard. So what I did in my class was we were learning about different character traits of the characters Of Mice and Men. So we had George and Lenny. And so I wanted students to basically take quotations and explain what character traits those quotes showed about the characters. So I started off with a Google Slides presentation that I was going through in class with this slide right here that has quotes. And one thing that is pretty helpful with Jamboard is you can create slides in Google Slides and export them as backgrounds in Google Jamboard. So when I shared this with students, they weren't able to move any of the text or anything on the slide. They could just interact with it. So what I ended up doing in my class was I assigned half of my students to George and the other half to Lenny. And then Jamboard has these other different slides, and I had students add sticky notes to give character traits on the different quotes that are present in the text. And I really want to focus on this idea of sticky notes in Jamboard, because for me, it's sort of the like the heartbeat of Jamboard. And as you can see, students, they added these sticky notes. They can type into it. They can place them wherever they want. So if they're writing about quote number 2, they place it here. But something that's been very helpful for me is a skill that I teach a lot in class is how good writing is usually concise. And so as you type into a sticky note, you'll notice that there's this blue bar here. And it sort of keeps track of how much text in the sticky note you're taking up. And if you write too much and it's going to overflow on the sticky note, the bar will turn red. So for example, this longer quote here, it's sort of red. So you can sort of tell students, I want you to fill in a sticky note with some character information, but I want you to have the bar halfway full, or I don't want you to go over the limit. And it sort of teaches them to be concise and stick to just a certain amount of information. And so that's been really helpful for me in my English class to enforce that specific skill. And then also recently, Google added the ability to track changes in Jamboard. Previously, you couldn't really see who interacted and who placed things on the slides. And now you can go in and you can do that. So those are some things that I've been doing lately in Jamboard. And what I have for us just to sort of experiment with the sticky note tool is I sent a link to the panelists on the roundtable doc we sent, which is a little discussion where we're going to practice some argumentative techniques here, which is we're going to think about which of these two beverages between coffee and water reigns supreme. So which one is better? So what I want everybody to do is simply add a sticky note. And you're just going to type into your sticky note, aside from your name, also, I want you to give an explanation for your vote. And I want you to fill up to at least halfway of this bar on the sticky note here. So for me, I'm going to write, I'll put my name to start off. I'm going to vote for coffee because it has water in it anyway. And it also gives me energy in the morning or something like that. And then, you know, you could place it wherever you want. Anybody want to share what which one they picked and why?
I kind of went your direction, but the reverse of it. I figured if you need water to make coffee, that kind of elevates it a little bit, even though I'm a diehard coffee drinker.
Yeah, it is sort of the, with no water, there'd be no coffee. That's a good point. And then if I wanted to extend this conversation, I could maybe have my students, after all of their reasons are there, I might say, what I want you to do is I want you to interact with the other group's sticky notes and put them in order of most convincing to least convincing. So again, that spatial element is what really draws me in with Jamboard.
Oh, that's really interesting. So we can, over on the coffee side, we can rank our reasons a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you can sort of extend your activities that way, sort of with that interaction of moving things around on the slide.
Can I jump in here real quick?
Yeah.
Can everybody real quick click on that laser pointer? I don't know if people know about the laser pointer, but you can see there's different colors depending on who's using it.
It's true. I did that like when I used it for my iPad once. It went green, and then from this, like when I was in the actual browser, it was red, and I was like, why?
And the colors correspond with our little icons on the top right, right?
Oh yeah, it does. And which Jeff, you can correct me if I'm wrong. That's just randomly assigned when you access the Jamboard.
Yes, that's correct.
Excellent. All right.
We've got in the comments real quick, Tim. Shannon says coffee. Margaret Murray, coffee, freshly brewed, starts my day like no other. Jenna Camp saying, love the skill with using sticky notes and redlining, very useful. Thanks for sharing. And Brian Carpenter, coffee is gooder than water because coffee has a coffee taste. All right. Well,
can't argue
that logic. Okay. Erica says, love me some Jamboard. Okay. Thank you, Tim. That was really cool. let's move over to Padlet with Lise. And Lise, we got to unmute you again. Okay.
There we go. I'm just getting myself sorted here. All right, so I'll try sharing my screen. Hopefully I'm doing the right thing here. Okay. All right. Okay. Entire screen. There we go. Is that going?
Oh, there we go. Got it.
There?
Got it.
Okay. All right. Have I done the wrong thing here?
No, you're good.
Okay. So Padlet is something that I was introduced to quite a few years ago. And it came up when I was on an online course with the International Baccalaureate, actually. And one of the things I found with it is that it is, unless you've bought into it as an organization, which we've already had a bit of a discussion about, it is tricky, but I think that's where it's really valuable with your students because everyone can interact with it. So what I thought I would do is take you through a few different formats of Padlets that I've created and how I've used it in my classroom with my students as well as colleagues. Is this working all right? You can see my screen. I'm not sure what I've done here with the crazy look and feel, but there are lots of different ways that you can format the Padlet, and what I wanted to show you first was this quick personal journey one. You can create Padlets where it is a map of the world, and every time you click the little plus button, it gives you the option to search a location and add it in there. And so that was one nice little feature. And
That's cool.
Yeah, so this is a little journey of my migration story, basically. So this is an example of content I created to share with students to give them some background about myself and give them that insight that they can create these themselves. And it has that kind of multi-layer learning opportunity where you're getting to a little bit of geography as well as communication skills and then just general IT use as well. And when you create these little pictures, or these maps, you can add photos into them as well as text. And so it gives people, just different modes of accessing information. So I thought I wanted to start out with that and give you a little bit of a picture of me. Again, originally from Canada, and I'm one of those people who has been global. So it's always important to me adding that element into what I'm doing.
And Lise, so real quickly, sorry, Erica Sandstrom in the comments is saying, I use the map for my courses to see where everyone is from. You can put photos as you're saying there. So that's a great point because Lise, I know you and others in here present workshops, so you could use this to see where everyone's from at your webinar, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly. I've used it as well for creating content for a unit that we did with our grade 2 students with the Earth from the Air. And so students were able to go into this Earth from the Air Padlet and view images by this famous photographer, Jan Arthus Bertrand. And it also allows for personalized learning. When you do things like this, we are in a really international school where there's no one dominant culture. So every time I'm creating content and asking students to be inspired to create art, I try to connect to their personal backgrounds and culture. And so by embedding content in this kind of a format, they can connect to where their home country is, or they can connect to where we are in place and time now in Abu Dhabi in the UAE. And it just allows them to, again, just sort of personalize their learning experience in this way, if that makes sense. So there are lots of different ways you can use this for your own individual tracking journeys, or like you said, connecting with people. And this just is a little bit of a quick tour of the different kinds of Padlets that I've created. And for this activity today, earlier on in the year, we took part in the Dot Day celebrations. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with the Peter Reynolds story, The Dot, but it's a bit of an international celebration. And so one of the ways we kicked off the year with the students was to create artworks inspired by this story. And I organized and presented it through Padlet because it was a very big community connecting experience. So in Padlet, you can upload videos. You can link to videos in YouTube really quickly and easily. You can upload the videos directly. And you can also make links to Seesaw activities and videos as well. So in this one Padlet, I have information about getting started, connections to the actual overall project. At the time that this activity was created, I was working with interns from a local university. And so they created content off-site, and they were able to access and upload their content directly without me needing to necessarily manage everything. And then the students, I had them very quickly and easily upload their artwork to the Seesaw activity, and then create a direct link to that. So it's a nice feature if your school has, again, made an investment in a few key platforms like Seesaw and Padlet, where they interact really nicely together. And the students, as they move up through the years, they just become more and more familiar and sophisticated with the way they use the tools. And beyond our school community with this project, we also connected to schools from around the world. And so I was able as well to put in a link to, again, using the mapping tool, create a map of all of the schools that also were doing the same celebration. So our students could then jump around the world and see what students in different locations were doing as well.
Wow.
So it's really nice, I find, for facilitating collaboration sort of within your immediate school community, but beyond that as well. So for today's presentation, I created a Padlet so that people who are unfamiliar with the tools could interact with it a little bit. So we'll share this link if people want to dip in here. And a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, Tim, you posted a note saying, I had no idea how much Padlet had added in to their functionality. And so you had just mentioned the 3 dots, which when you click them brings up all the different options, which made me connect back to this project at the beginning of the year and the story, The Dot, because you basically start with a dot and see where it takes you. And it's all about getting started. And I think with these platforms, you have to have that purpose to explore all of the different tools and the potential with them. So if you would like to jump in, but I'm also not sure about time, but if you'd like to jump in, you can try out the different features. So there's some instructions here, and I can see someone has already immediately jumped in and added a GIF to this.
I think that was Kate and Lisa. Let me just say, for anyone watching, if you want to join us live right now and get on the screen here, get on the Padlet, I just tweeted the link to Lisa's Padlet, and so you're welcome to join us from that.
Excellent. So you can click on the plus, and again, you just jump straight down to the 3 dots, and thinking about all the possibilities of where a single mark can take you. You can click on the drawing tool, and it comes up with just a little whiteboard here. So I thought that if you were to create an activity like this with your students, you can have them with a common sort of thought in mind. They can create all sorts of different responses using the different tools. And so how can you create a little dot-inspired artwork using the drawing tools? If you've read the story, you could create a dot without making a dot. You can also add audio files as well with the audio recorder and play them back. So I recited a little, invented a little poem.
By any other name. Could be.
And then uploading either video or direct using your camera or uploading from your computer. And then using, again, the location tool. You thought you can just locate a specific dot related site, and then GIFs and things. So the tools inside here are really so seamless to use. When you click on location, it just comes up as if it's Google Maps, and you can search in here for different places. And it will take you through to where you want to go. And so again, it's just giving the students some sort of a focused way of exploring the different tools. And then the other nice thing about it is when you've created Padlets, you can transform them into different formats. So does anybody want to jump in here and have a go with creating an instant artwork, or would you like to save that for another time? I'm thinking a haiku about the 3 dots and the endless exploration you can do.
Ooh.
Excellent.
I'm just I'm wrapped up in trying to think of a dot related location to look up right now.
Yeah, there you go. Or if you happen to be wearing a polka dot shirt, you can snap a quick photograph of your patterned outfit. There we go. So I just, I'll leave that up there for people to go in and explore all the possibilities. If you have a Padlet account that you create yourself as an individual, then you can create up to 3 Padlets. And one of the really nice features about them is that if you need to create more Padlets and delete ones that you had existed, but you want a record of what you had, you can also download the Padlet into a PDF. And so if I go back to this really crazy .day Padlet here, I can go in and I can either share it, or I can save an image, which is like a screenshot, or I can save it as a PDF. And so you can have a record of it in a different format. And I'll jump through a few others, but this is an example. My son, his Padlet's not coming up for some reason, but he just had to do a leaflet for a humanities project. And I said, well, if you make it in Padlet, then you can transform it into a PDF. So he created a really simple Padlet, and then it downloaded in this format. So again, for students who need to kind of repurpose things, Padlet has a lot of versatility in that as well.
Lisa, I'm so glad you mentioned that. Could you just go back one moment to the PDF you just showed? Because I put out an invitation to all the staff in my school to contribute 1 or 2 of their favorite pieces of poetry for Poetry Month.
Yeah.
And so we filled a Padlet, and then I exported as a PDF. And if you look at the formatting that Lisa's showing on the screen right now, it's just so nice. Like it's 2 columns. I didn't tweak a thing. I just sort of saved it and shared it. And then anyone who wants to print can print. But that was something I didn't realize that Padlet did as well, is just give you this option to export as a nice looking PDF.
Yeah. And if you have students who, you know, if you're online learning and you're really concerned about connectivity and things, if you have, again, a resource of images that they're looking at, rather than sending them the link, you can send them a PDF, and they can either, you know, you can print it off for them and deliver it or what have you as well. So a few other really quick ways that I've used it. I've delivered photography workshops with students. So again, I just gathered all of the content that I created that I wanted to guide them through and give to them as a, you know, a permanent resource they could refer back to. I embedded it all into Padlet, and then when they finished the workshop, they uploaded their photos into a gallery to showcase their work. And then we had our grade 5s had an exhibition. They have an exhibition every year. And so we created an art gallery about their different themes. And there were lots of common themes among them. And for their exhibition, they had to showcase their work online. And a lot of them created websites. And so rather than snatching images from the internet, they were able to go in and share their unique artworks and contact each other and say, oh, your image really matches with what I'm doing. Can I use it. And so we got into this whole system of them asking permission. And then the very last thing that I wanted to touch on is just, again, interacting with the students. So right now we're looking at portraits and where we are in place and time. And so our grade 4s are learning how to do timelines. And so we have also got an account with Britannica Online. So I was able to copy and paste these famous portraits into a timeline format to just reinforce that to the students. And they were able to make comments on each one. And it was just, really fascinating to see the kinds of things that they said. And at the moment, I teach 10 different separate grade 4 classes. And so they're all able, through this format, to be able to see what each other said about the different artworks. So it really broadens their perspective. And I'm able as well to give feedback to students as well on their work. So this was some work that students had created. These were their final artworks that were published to celebrate Earth Day, but they had gone through the process of uploading their work onto a Padlet and giving and receiving feedback. And I was able to feedback to them as well. And so, again, instead of it just all being embedded in Seesaw as an example and hidden and only seen by that one individual student, my feedback was visible to all of the students, and their feedback to each other was visible as well. So there are just so many different possibilities that I find for Padlet and the interactivity of it as well.
You are blowing our minds, Lise. Thank you so much. That was really, really incredible. I know Kate is waiting on deck to show us a little more in Padlet.
Yes.
So, Kate, let's turn it over to you.
I know, Lise, thank you so much for just like so robustly showing off some Padlet features. Like Lise, I've been a Padlet user for probably more than 5 years now, maybe a little bit longer. And I think the big thing with Padlet is it's as dynamic as you want to get with it. So I'm going to start just by sharing a back channels. And let me just give you an overview. I'll go ahead and share my screen. And like the good teacher, I will announce that I'm sharing my screen. So here we go.
Oh, I've got, I don't know why I've got Mel here, but let's
Why does
keep it going.
this always
Okay,
happen
there we
to me in lives? Why does this happen?
We just want to look at Mel. So like to Lisa's point, when you come into Padlet, you get 3 free boards, and before they went pay to play, I had been grandfathered in and was lucky to have a lot of boards to kind of work with before they went pay to play. But it's for me absolutely worth making that leap. But you could get creative in using those 3 free boards and recycling them. Here are the options you get. You can start with a wall, a stream, a grid. And I like the grid feature because if you think about some of our students with accessibility issues or just being overwhelmed when they come in to get caught up, a grid just kind of spaces things out. You get a little more white space. The shelf feature I'm going to show you today, and Lisa showed us some great examples of. Back channel, which I have a link to a back channel if you'd like to join and play with us. I tossed it on Twitter. I'll put it in our chat here in a second. Map, I have a roll call if we want to try that here in a second. So anybody from anywhere, come and show us where you're from and what you're doing right now. And I have a QR code that you can really quickly tag into that from your phone or another device. Canvas for collages, organizing, brainstorming, and then timeline. So let's just kind of start with, where are you from right now, or give that roll call a shot. So real easy if you have an iPhone, right? You just come in, grab that QR code. It's going to take you right to it on your phone. What I like about that is you can get kids up and away from their screens or maybe walking with a screen. So when you come in, you're just going to see the little map that I have. Let me go ahead and actually switch that tab. Roll call. And if you zoom out, I think it's going to start by zooming in on my tab. So I'm coming to you from Fort Collins. And if you just go ahead and teach your kids too, like the zooming and scrolling, those can be really helpful computer skills. But go ahead wherever you're from, add a post in here. Tell us where you're at, or share maybe a favorite location. And you could just punch that in. So if you're trying to come back to Fort Collins, it could bring that up. Or if you want to just click and drag your pin, you can come and drop that and then get more specific wherever you want to be with that. So feel free to play with that roll call over there.
Kate,
Tim,
can you put the QR code back on the screen one more time, just for any viewers? If you've got your phone handy, or maybe you're watching this broadcast on your phone, but if you've got your phone handy, grab that QR and let us know where you're from.
And what's nice about that too is, depending on the permissions you set on your Padlet, you can let students just get into it anonymously, and you can actually even toggle settings that say, I have to approve this comment before it goes completely live, which is kind of nice too. Hopefully we don't have any, Zoom bombers today that want to come in and make life a little weird, but really like that students can get up, get moving, take that QR code and go. I think it works really functionally on those handheld devices. And for me, I've been remote the entire year, which has been, a big privilege, frankly. And I'm always thinking about, how are kids using their hands? How are they getting up? How are they moving so that they're not just sitting at the screen? Here's the link to that roll call, because I'm going to switch screens here in a second, but I want to honor if folks aren't there yet, because I'm going to fly. All right, here comes the link. I put that in our private chat, Tim.
Okay.
Okay, so going back to just kind of the 30,000 foot overview here. I think an underutilized resource is the collage tool of Padlet, and it can be a little bit intimidating at first. And I think that goes just for any tech tool you're bringing into your classroom. And Jeffrey made a good point about this, about scaling up to content. Let our kids come and play. Let them, do a people bag. I'm going to show you that here in a second. Let them come and just, do a gratitude journal. Something simple and easy that they're not also trying to apply the content of your class while they're learning a new tech tool. Let them come in and play. So here's a little collage I made just to kind of show you some of the features. So people are like, whoa, Padlet got an upgrade. Yes, it did. And that's pretty great. So the green buttons here are all the things that are native to Padlet. And then the orange buttons are things you might be bringing in or linking out. So now just inside of Padlet, you can actually record videos and upload them right in your browser. So it's kind of like a little Flipgrid alternative, or a place where you can tell students, write a response, record a response, share your voice, and give those multiple modalities to come in, take a picture, upload documents, draw, which is so much fun to do. Really enjoyed doing that on Lisa's board, and then linking things out. And you'll notice just now, actually, this is, I think, really neat too. So you can see on this collage, when I click on that picture, I get a nice full screen, which is really handy when we're talking about, I can't read that, Miss Stevens. It's like, oh, cool. Just click on it. That'll be a lot easier for you. Something else I like, and this is the collage feature again, you can see that there's little arrows that pop up that actually help students mind map, or a teacher could mind map something. So I think about if I'm asking students to organize something, or even a science lab, right? Organize your evidence and think about how you can synthesize this and what order it might go into. I really like that if I link a video using the insert link button. So this is a good thing to keep in mind here. If I just come and copy the link from my clipboard, it's different than if I actually use Padlet's feature to link the YouTube video. So if I use that feature to link, it'll actually play inside of Padlet. And that's nice, because then we don't necessarily have to worry about some of those ads that pop up, a kid's not getting distracted on autoplay in YouTube. So it's kind of a handy feature. Took a goofy picture this morning to just show the webcam, right? So kids can take pictures right inside of Padlet. My pump up song, Don't Stop Me Now by Queen. So thinking about ways that kids can come and play. Let's make a class playlist, or tell me your 3 pump up songs and why. Tell me a memory with that song. I think if we encourage students to play when we give them new tech, they're just going to be more comfortable along the way. And we saw that in the Jamboard, icebreakers as well. So link to this collage. I'll drop that off. If you want to come play in that one, that's totally fine. So back to our 30,000 foot view, right? Other things we can do with this. I've used this heavily with some of the PD I facilitated this year. And this is an example of the stream option. So in-house PD that I was running and coaching, I used the stream almost like a little microblog. So each one of my teammates, came in, shared their goals, shared their student work, and then came back and kept updating their original post. And now we can keep responding to one another through the stream. But great example of how when you open it, there's not 12 or 40 different blocks staring you in the face, right? You can just kind of slowly read, take your time, and go through it. Another example of doing this with staff and teammates. I always talk about sharing is caring. Tell us something you figured out, come share something, and just highlighting the great work that our teammates are doing. So even just using it with staff, right? Coming in and sharing and linking out. And you can see if Padlet has a public link, you'll get a nice little screenshot, which is pretty great. Timelines, another example of a timeline. what a great feature. I can think of tons of things we could do with timeline, but I want to shout out my colleague and special education superstar, Laura Kitchens. So for the PD we were wrapping up in April, I kind of gave my colleagues choices of how do you want to share what you've learned, your journey. And she just made this incredible timeline of kind of like, here I was in August with my students, here I went, here I'm going now. And this beautiful little portfolio of just, you know, all the things she had figured out with her students this year, the challenges she had overcome, and she gave me permission to shout that out. We use this, right? We're all remote right now. We used Padlet as an ongoing high school bulletin board and began training our kids to come and check the bulletin board because high school kids are just so good at checking email. Wait, no, they're not. So bulletin board. And then, you know, what really makes me excited about Padlet is when I turn it over to students and I let them become the curator of their own Padlet. So this is an example, actually, when we went early in the pandemic, kind of that emergency remote response where we were all, you know, kind of in quarantine or lockdown or whatever we were doing to protect our communities. And I use this as like a student dashboard or a student desktop. And I had my students in my world literature class, you know, what are you reading? What are you writing? What are you thinking about right now? And just curate their own space. So this student has just a total affinity for foxes. So you can see, you know, he found a fox icon. He uploaded his own fox background. He, you know, had little wisdom here from advice from a fox. And it was a great chance, you can see, for me to quickly respond and connect with kids and have an ongoing conversation. But this was just between me and the student. Here's another example, same assignment, different student. I asked them to include 3 things. They had to have what they were reading, what they were writing, and things they were thinking about. And then other than that, they could add whatever they wanted to. And I think giving that control and letting them just be tinkerers and makers was really fun. So this student is a pianist. And so we saw, you know, all these little YouTube videos to songs she was learning, which was really neat. Gratitude practice and journal is a big part of my classroom culture. And she just on her own added that and started updating a gratitude journal, which was really cool. Another example of turning it over to students, this is a book club and collaboration tool. So this is a group of 4 students who were all reading The Handmaid's Tale a couple years ago. And, you know, I was able to actually drop off a reminder notes that they needed and could just go back to something I had already taught, brought it in, little helper video, and of those groups could very quickly, boom, 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 drop that off on every Padlet. Questions they were asking, character tracking, their real world book connections, main ideas, and then some other formative, you know, notice and note strategy that I bet some English teachers will recognize there. Another example of giving it to a group. So this is from this year, right? Here's your instructions. We have a little space for an icebreaker. Here's your writing group's permanent meet link. You guys will always use this link. You never have to find it. And then an agenda, if I had that for them, questions they could ask. Workshop space, great place for students to upload and share and exchange ideas as an actual workshop. So this is actually more of like sharing your ideas and giving feedback to one another. This is a really big class. And I would just caution you that if you're going to drop a Padlet link for like 40 students live, just teach your kids to refresh and be patient. It might take a second for it to show up, but I haven't had any major problems. It can be frustrating for a student though, if you're typing and then Padlet jumps. I think we've all had that experience in some kind of web format. But here, students responding to one another, giving feedback, ideas, but formatively, right? If I'm like, all right, we're going to take 10 minutes, you hop in here, I can see immediately what I can respond to in the moment with some formative feedback and then come back whole group and teach to the whole group. Gotta shout out that print view, that PDF view. Really nice if you're trying to think about how can I use these 3 free Padlets? So just keep recycling them. And then download your PDF so that you have that record and you can even upload that and share it with your students if they were absent or something, you know, go back and respond, or you just want to reference our ideas. But I mean, somebody was really thinking, how do we take this mess of a digital thing and make it printer friendly? It's a beautiful little newsletter, kind of old school newspaper design. Really into that, really like it. I've used that before when we were in person to like print and give back to students. You know, let's go back, let's synthesize, let's process, let's annotate our conversation. It's kind of a cool meta strategy. Community space. I think the best thing about Padlet is what a fun, just again, play community space. So we did this a couple days ago with a group of student leaders. Circle up and check in, right? Name, number, feeling, and a GIF that captures your spring vibe. We were doing some brainstorming on some stickers we could make for our school. And just, you know, hey, can you show up to this thing that we're planning in a couple of weeks? Thanks. And then free space. I highly recommend just give your kids free spaces on Padlets or boards. You'll get really fun stuff. It'll make you smile and helps build community. More community space. Use this as a people wall or a people bag wall where we are linking out. I had a thing link here to my people bag and other students, their Jamboards, their collages, their different things. So last one I'll show you. This works really nice for if you're just like, how do I start this? Go into Padlet, make that 3-column stack, rosebud, thorn, something going right, something that you're looking forward to, and something that you're kind of struggling with. Kids love the GIFs, and it's really cool to watch them interact with those two. Again, accessibility-wise, you just want to think about, you don't want it to be overwhelming. For me, I'm like, give it to me all at once. Some kids, they open that up and it's like, whoa, that's a lot. So just know your students, know those needs, and support that practice. Again, more community space, kids, reaction GIFs, how they're thinking, how they're feeling. And then one of my favorite things I did, I'm also I have photojournalism background, photo teacher, did yearbook, that kind of thing. But ongoing would just highlight student work. It was kind of like we called the photo wall of brilliance and excellence. And I would just find just excellent things that kids were making and update that weekly. And kids could come in and see if they made the wall, and if their work got up there. And just that little space of sharing. So, and then more community time. You can tell I've had some coffee today. So that's the 30,000-foot view.
Kate, that was incredible. And between you and Lisa on Padlet, that was drinking from a fire hose for sure. I'm going to have to watch this replay a few times. No question about that. Let me get back to our group view here. Okay. Mel, the floor is yours. Take us to Whiteboard Chat. And if we don't have time for Whiteboard.fi, no worries. I can do something separate another time. Take us to,
Because I'm conscious of the time. It's like almost like it's like 6 minutes until like the thing. And I was like, are you sure you still want me to like share right here? Because,
Hey, sorry to barge in there, Tim. Sorry to barge in there, but the time, I don't know. Let's hear from the comments from people. Can we just keep going past the hour? Because I'm loving this.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm excited to hear about Mel.
All right, Mel, do it. And then if anyone needs to run, it looks like, did Kate just drop out? I don't know. Hopefully I didn't do that. But at any rate, Mel, go ahead and show us Whiteboard.chat.
Okay, sure. All right. Can you bring me up? Thank you. Okay. So I know everyone, like you guys have like heard a heap about a bazillion like collaborative tools really, right? I mean like how people work together, how people see each other's work and everything like that. So Whiteboard.chat is a little bit different. It has both worlds basically. So like initially it's for like individual student boards. So like each student can have their own board and work individually, see their own thing, but you can also make group boards in the same place. So I'm just going to show you because I'm going to try to keep it to 5 minutes. I'm going to try to go super fast. So I'm just going to show you like a couple of examples that I've used in my classes basically with a couple of boards. And because I've just taken a few from different classes and just put them in one, just so you can see how I use it. So one of the examples is just something really simple, like I just make some text boxes like as a reflection to the end of the lesson, like what are you proud of from this lesson? Is there something you want to ask your teacher? How do you feel about today? And the thing is that students can respond just by typing, or they can also like add a voice note or add a video or add a whatever. Like Whiteboard.chat is one of those platforms where everything is embedded within. So anything you want to add, it's there for the students and also for you as a teacher. So you can have something basic as like a reflection thing or as another page in my board one day when my internet is not terribly awful and maybe it will load in 1 hour later. Okay. Or you can embed like, PDFs. Okay. You can chuck a PDF in. You can get that. So this, for example, like I teach mathematics, sorry. This is adding polynomials. It might scare a lot of you, but anyway, so for example, I might have a PDF and I just put it into the whiteboard, and you can embed PDFs up to 50 pages long. Not like you want to do that, but I mean, you can do that if you want to. And some people are like, so how many people can you have on here? You can have up to like 150 people like joining your whiteboard. And this can be a group thing. So what I did with my classes with, for example, this PDF, they had 2 different puzzles. And so I put them in breakout rooms and put them in group boards as well. So I had like 4 or 5 people to a board. And then each person, they allocated who was going to do each question. They worked it out on the board. They could share in the thing. So they also have like a chat option. So they can talk within their Whiteboard.chat as well. So they have a chat in there. So that's another thing. It's like easy, just embedding PDFs. Okay. And then also, as I mentioned, you can like add anything basically. Like think of anything in your brain and you can put it into here. So for example, I'm using math examples. So let's just say, for example, I had like a thing I want them to solve this particular equation. I want them to enter their answer in here. They can listen to my audio. I have like a quick voice note I've put in here. They can also add like a photo of their work if they want to show me their work, or if they want to add their own audio to explain their work, they can also do that. I've also put in a resource of a YouTube in here. So when they go in, and I've limited to what seconds it starts and ends at, how you can do it in slides and stuff. You can do that also in here. So when the students go there, they can play it just for like an extra resource. I've also made this so that when they enter their answer in here, it auto corrects it. So like just say if they put in a 6 or a 10 or whatever it is, they can also correct their work. And I can also go into their boards and also see that. But you can embed anything. So you can embed a Google Doc, embed a slides, embed a website. Also, you can embed like, I don't know if I put it in this one, maybe not. But you can embed Flipgrid, anything you like. You can put it inside here. It's like, Nearpod. And you can make it teacher paced or student paced. It's up to you. And so this is my favorite part about it, is like the grid view. So I can see all of the students working, and I know my stuff is lagging because I'm amazing. But I can see what page they're on, what maybe they need help with, what they're working on. I can go and give quick feedback to them. And you'll notice here, over here, there's like a little grid. So I made a fake class just so that I could demo it without also protecting student privacy, but just saying that, okay, so this person's finished. So I can go to their board, see what they've done. These people need some help. Maybe I'll check the chat, see what they're asking for. So I can see Yves is saying, oh, they're not sure about part F. Danny's saying they're done with page 3. If I can correct it or whatever. If I've seen maybe their work is good, so maybe I've clicked on Yves's work and I've seen that I uploaded a random photo, but anyway, I've seen them put in their work. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I can go to like the Padlet here and give some super quick feedback. So maybe you don't want to do it verbally because maybe they're in breakouts or maybe whatever. Maybe you just want to, they can see, they're doing an amazing job. You can go to like the rewards here. I know I'm speaking super fast because I'm really conscious of the time. So if I click a sticker and I just like click on their board or whatever, they would get a sticker like on their board saying well done or whatever. It's like quick feedback. Cool. But yeah, I can enter their boards as well. So I can go into their board and draw on it as well. I'm really conscious of the time. It's like 11 o'clock. Oh my God. But anyway, that's like a really big thing for me. So and when students, the order in which they put up their hands and stuff, I can see here. So they have this little hand option to say, okay, I need help. They can say, I need help, or I'm done, or go faster, or toilet break, or whatever. They have a little thing and it's in order. So some students are like, can you check my board? I was like, did you put up your hand? I mean, like that's a thing in there. But I can make group boards. I don't know if we have time, but I'd love to like link this one. Oh, some people are in here. And you guys can so basically when you invite, I'm not going super fast, but when you invite, you can just copy the link and you can decide whether you want students to log in or not. So it's all free. Okay, so Whiteboard.chat is directly in the browser. And I can see in my settings, basically, if I want students to log in or not. Usually I ask them to log in because if you have students with the same name and you don't click that, for example, we have 2 Tims here. If both of the Tims join just with a Tim, they would end up on the same board. But you can reduce or eliminate that risk of them accidentally being on the same board if you want individual boards, just to tick this option of only logged in users can join the board. But yeah, you guys can join that if you like. I'm going to drop this link in the private chat, and Tim, if you want to share it in the main comments, if you like. But it's one of those things, like the main thing for Whiteboard.chat for me is that it's really flexible. So I can decide whether I want students to be on their own board individually working, or like, for example, right now, I can see these various people that have come on in, and I can create a group board if I want. So I can push these people to like group boards. So maybe I want them to work on the second slide, the second frame as a group. So like the second frame, I think has the puzzle that I had before, maybe. Oh no, it has this thing. So they can also try to enter an answer in here if they like, and I can auto correct their board. And then the third one I had like I think I put the PDF there, But the thing is that I can move them to put them in a group board, or I can pre-create group boards. There's a lot, okay? There's a lot of different things you can do with Whiteboard.chat, but the main thing is like the feedback and the opportunity for the kids to collaborate, you know, if you want them to. So it doesn't have to be just a standalone thing. And usually, like if I'm doing like the grid view, I will not usually share that view with students. Okay, so I won't usually share this. So like kids don't need to be worried about like, oh, everyone can see my work or whatever. So usually I won't be sharing my screen unless there's kids that have really bad internet. I'll just show like the main page or something like that. Okay, but that's what I would do generally speaking.
Mel, can I jump in there? So I actually do show the grid on my screen, and I know there are pros and cons there, but and I'm talking about Whiteboard.fi. I have not used chat yet, although you're winning me over for sure. I find for some students it can be really helpful though to see other students process or to see their work too.
Yes.
So
okay,
yeah.
So there is that option. So like if I, for example, click on these options here, and I can showcase student work. So, and it can be anonymous. So I can decide that, oh guys, I've seen like Tim's work, or I won't say that. I've seen 2 students work, and I can say showcase. So for example, I might showcase Tim's work to everyone, and I can also showcase Lisa's work. They won't know that that's what whose work they're seeing, but they'll be able to see those student boards to say, hey, look at these 2 people, look at what they've done with these 2. What do you think? They both arranged to the same, they both came to the same answer. So without me sharing my screen, I can just showcase work, and it will just appear on those students' screens, and they will see it. And you can decide, like in the settings, whether you want the students to have the opportunity to write on each other's boards or not. Like right now, I've said they can only write on their own. But if I wanted them to maybe annotate each other's work as well, while it's anonymous, so they can't see each other's, can't see who's like on whose or whatever, they could do that as well. So that's how I would showcase student work. So I'm not like, so they don't need to be worried about, you know, student names and all of that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, so I'm conscious of the time, so I might stop there, but I'm going to drop my 2 resources in the chat as well. But I don't know if Tim, you can do that. I'll stop sharing my screen. But I can autocorrect. So I can autocorrect people's boards. I can do whatever. I can decide, okay, I'm going to go to these 3 boards here, and I can say autocorrect all the boards. What you draw on your board can directly go to the student boards, or I can go to individually student boards and just write on theirs, and it won't affect anyone others. I mean, there's a heap of stuff, and I'm sorry, I went over my time of 5 minutes. I went like 8 minutes or something. I need to like stop. Anyway, there's lots of stuff. There's lots of stuff. Okay.
Can you you closed your sharing screen. I was just curious because again, I don't think I'll go into Whiteboard.fi, but you can push PDFs to all boards, right?
Yes. Yep.
And
so like usually what I do is I pre set up my stuff, so I can quickly show if you guys want. Just like in my board, so I can quickly just let's go to my board. No. So you go to like my book, and then you have the option to insert anything, and it goes in live. Usually I prep my boards beforehand, so I'll have like 2 or 3 slides or whatever in a board, and just push the stuff to there directly. But I'll put the stuff in there beforehand, so like it'll push it though to everyone. So like I will set up a board beforehand that's for all of my students, and I can modify it as I go, as to like depending on what the students want. And my internet's amazing. So this is why this is happening. It's not always like this, guys. It's like Columbia Live, and you know this is what happens. But like on the left, you can just add files from your computer up to however many you like, and then you can also so what you're talking about with Padlet, how you can download your stuff as a PDF. You can also do that, but I'm going to stop there, okay? Because the main thing is just that the ease of the student feedback, that they can collaborate, that they can like correspond with me, whether it's through the chat in Whiteboard.chat, or because they can only send direct message directly to me, or messages in their group if they're on the group board. They can't usually send messages to each other. Anyway, okay, I'll stop now.
Oh, that was amazing, Mel. Yeah, thank you. Do we feel like we have 5 minutes for Whiteboard.fi, or do we need to run?
Go.
Okay.
Go for it.
Go for it, Tim.
I got 10 minutes.
Okay, I'm just going to say off the top, I feel really silly even presenting this now because Whiteboard chat seems a lot more powerful. But you know what? Let's have some fun here. So I'm going to drop in the group chat. Oh, I should have said join Tim's whiteboard. But for all of my panelists, it's in our group Google Doc. And let me see here. We are putting a spotlight on Whiteboard.fi. So I was really excited to see this or to really learn more about this tool. Let me share my entire screen to make sure I'm not leaving anyone behind. Okay, so all right, so you've all joined, and I'd love to see anyone from the audience come here and join us as well. But I've got a few things in mind that I can share with you. So first of all, let me see. I'm going to push this out to all my students. List all the factors of 24. So I can watch all of you sort of work your way through this. And again, this is a pretty simple tool when we look at Whiteboard.chat and what it all right.
I real quick had to just refresh my memory by Googling what a factor is, but just hold on a second.
Oh, sure. All right. Do we have anyone from the audience? I don't see anyone from oh, Jenna's here. Excellent. Jenna, I think Jenna's on LinkedIn. So Lisa, I can put Lisa's work up on the screen and draw attention to what she's doing. And if you have the premium Whiteboard.fi, you can give some quick reactions here. I don't think, it wants me to purchase. So all of this is free, what I'm demonstrating. And Mina joined us as well. Now, that's interesting. So I'll have to push out the next exercises. So Mina and Erica's here as well. You can just write on your whiteboards for now. Now, let's say that we have a bad student who is pasting in weird memes or misbehaving. So I can kick anyone very quickly. And Mel, I'm sure you can too, right? In Whiteboard.chat.
What?
Can you kick students very quickly if they are misbehaving?
Yes. Bye-bye.
All right. And then she says, of course, Tim, so obvious. And so I can push a new problem very, very fast. And I won't make you solve that, but again, you get the idea on the math side of things. And I'll show you a couple of other applications. English teachers, this might be a little more interesting to you. So there's a site called Everyday Edits that is from Education World, and it has one of these for every day of the year on PDF. I find them really good as just a grammar practice. By the way, this Tim student over here is my phone, which is occupied right now. So that's why that student is not participating. But what I'd like you to do is use your red pen and circle 10 mistakes on this Everyday Edit. So Jeffrey is an English teacher, so let's put his up on the screen. And I should be able to see, is there a problem or, okay, some people are writing on theirs now.
How do I make the pen red?
The palette icon, I believe.
Let me look at mine
Are you
here.
sure you want to go with red? There's a
Yeah,
little
no, I don't. Yeah, that's like old school. I'm going to do blue.
Yeah, go blue. There we go. So, I keep going to the...
By the way, no pressure, Jeffrey.
Oh, I have tons of pressure here. There's tons.
All right. In the meantime, let's look at Lise. Okay, excellent. Okay. And we've got Mel. She spotted giving. So I like just going through and commenting on different students' work on the screen, and maybe that's bad pedagogy. We'll talk later about that. But they are, one thing I've found is, and so far I've only used this in math class, pardon me, but the engagement is through the roof. Like every student is active, they're involved. I can follow their level of proficiency very, very easily. And that is something that is really hard to duplicate in the normal classroom. I find it's hard to see exactly where every student is. So one more application that I will send your way, and I'm about to bump that off. And again, just a very simple idea. Write 4 lines of free verse poetry. So you can use the writing tool, the letter tool. Don't try to write with your mouse or draw with your mouse. Hey, Brian's in here too. That's great. So you can just have some fun with that. And let's see, is there anything while you're working on that? I don't know if I leave this, I'm sharing my screen, so I can't do that. But you can pull in PDFs. I was thinking of asking you to label the parts of the human body, for example, or label any sort of image or PDF. You can do that as well. And I can also toggle my own whiteboard, of course, put my own whiteboard on the screen and demonstrate to students an idea. I can also, let's see here. I can also, and Mel, again, I'm sure you have all of these options in Whiteboard.chat, but you have these different backgrounds. So for example, I could ask you to write some music. I don't want to push that yet because you're probably all writing wonderful pieces of poetry. Let's see here. Jeffrey's got, I'll look to like if
It's Romeo and Juliet.
I knew it. I knew it.
All right, I will stop sharing my screen, but that gives you a bit of a taste of Whiteboard.fi. And again, that's a simplified version, right, Mel, of Whiteboard.chat. She's just rolling her eyes right now, like, seriously?
I know. Look, I used Whiteboard.fi, and then like this year, well, late last year, someone told me about Whiteboard.chat, and at the start, it really was overwhelming. Like I looked at it and there's just so many features, and you're just like, where do I even start? So it's just about just going step by step, and that's why I did a webinar of like tips and tricks basically on Wednesday. So like trying to do everything in like 5 to 10 minutes. I was like, this is impossible. I just need to focus on, main thing is like immediate feedback, being able to see all your kids at the same time, getting them to be able to work together basically. But like Whiteboard.fi is also fine. I mean, like you can use that, but the thing is that there's some things that are limited because you have to pay for like to do the feedback stuff, whereas like Whiteboard.chat is completely free. So
right.
But
I was just
still,
gonna jump in.
I mean, like whatever works.
I totally agree. I feel as a person, I drown in features. I actually say, even though I know how to use tech, I don't consider myself a tech person, but I'm just looking for things that it solves for me. And I want it to be really simple, yet robust. And that's why I just kind of stick with Jamboard, because it's just really, really simple. There's only a few features. And then it creates a creative constraint for me where I'm like, okay, I only have so much to work with. What can I do with it now?
Yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Those limitations really do force creativity. I was going to say too, things like the little features though, like reactions and stuff, or the stickers, they are just so handy for gauging engagement as well. I often switch on the reactions, just the like button to gauge whether people have seen something, or to use it as a conversation starter as well. Like, why did this get so many reactions compared to that? So it's good.
We got a poem from Brian Carpenter here.
Yeah.
Roses are red, violets are purple. I'm digging this session of whiteboarding and how we can use these with our classes and others out there. How about you? Well, thank you, Brian. That is awesome. It's a good way to end this off. And thank you, Jenna, and so many others for following along with us live. Each of our presenters today have shared their knowledge and expertise elsewhere online. And so I'm going to give them an opportunity to let us know how we can connect with you. And, and I'm thinking about Mel presenting. I want to know, is your presentation on YouTube? So Mel, why don't you start us off and let us know how we can connect with you?
Okay, hi everyone. So the best way to reach me is via my Twitter, which is in my handle, but that is like not showing right now because like the other
That's
label
right.
thing is there.
Oops.
But
Get that out of here. There we go.
Okay, yes. So yeah, the best way to connect with me is through Twitter. So @Funguli. I also do have an email, but I mean, you can probably find me on there. So if you don't have Twitter, you should get it. Okay, it's the best way to find a PLN. And basically, I put all my stuff on there. So if you want to find my webinar stuff for the Whiteboard.chat, it's also on their website. They posted it on their YouTube. I'm not an expert, okay, guys. I'm just a regular educator like you all, okay? I just know a little bit more about some tools, and but I'm here to help, okay, if you need me. But best way is to reach me out through Twitter. Thanks for letting me participate today.
As with all of these tools and ed tech in general, I think it's all about incremental growth, right? And you throw too much at teachers all at once and it's paralysis by abundance, or there's got to be a better term for that. But Lise, how can we connect with you?
Yeah, I obviously didn't really realize when I set up my Twitter account that Farquhar wasn't, it's a good way to stay under the radar. But that's my main way that I connect in education. So you can find me there. And I teach at a school in Abu Dhabi, as I said, Raha International School. And I'm always happy to share my content or connect with people and get things out there. So
Fantastic. Tim.
All right. So the best way to reach me is on Twitter as well. My Twitter handle is tbelmontedu, and I'm always looking to share new things that I'm finding and also always willing to learn. So hopefully we can connect.
And thank you very much to Tim. He actually uses Padlet more than Google Jamboard, right, Tim? And he graciously agreed to share his Google Jamboard instead, just to sort of round this out. We already had a couple of Padlet powerhouses on board. Jeffrey, over to you.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter as well at SirThriveEDU. It's pretty much anywhere if you want to find me. Actually, I'm on Voxer too at the same handle. And I like having conversations there if people are interested in some voice chat. So yeah, look me up there, SirThriveEDU.com. I have one post and it's about breakout rooms. So if you want to learn more, go there.
Although you've done a lot of writing in the past as well, right? And Kate. Oh, we need to unmute. Yeah. Let's see if I can unmute.
It's my first time. Twitter, email, drop me a line, love connecting. And I'm a big believer that sharing is caring. So I'll drop these things off where you can get to them. So thanks for collaborating today.
I can't believe I'm just blown away by how well prepared you all were today. I think this was a value-packed session. So thank you so much for sharing. And this is the kind of thing I need to watch again at some point and just kind of take notes and absorb everything you shared today. So thank you. It was a pleasure. It's so fun today to connect with some virtual friends that I've been connected to for a long time on Twitter. And hey, enjoy the rest of your Saturday. I know we'll talk again soon. Bye-bye, everyone.
All right, thanks, Tim.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Tim.
bye.
Bye-bye.